supposed to be quiet. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is September 22nd, 2023. After several days of blood and a couple of more bloods, looks like we have a little relief bouncing through here. We are day to light, but we do have a federale speaking right about now, actually. So we do have that going on. As far as little tidbits of news, China says we're going to try not to suck as much cock as we normally do and let foreign investment in to take ownership of some of their domestic companies. Maybe, kind of, sort of, jawboning. But if you look at the China tickers this morning, they're all doing fairly well. Activision and Microsoft, looks like that deal will be approved by the EU, according to a couple of headlines, which is kind of cute, kind of neat. Outside of that, we have to look at the environment. Nothing has changed, even with a green candle. Nothing has changed, even with a red candle. It is what it is. We are in the grasp of Fed jawboning and data points. That's what we're in the middle of. Flow is extremely bearish. It is so utterly bearish that if a butterfly were to fart in the right direction, it would create a short squeeze that would absolutely peel the face off of anybody that thought about being short over the last couple of days. We have that also. The dollar, if you've been tracking it in any capacity, it kind of has this tendency to do what it wants to do when it wants to do it and have the impact and effect when it feels like having an impact and effect. The dollar has been very, very hot and is still positioned green this morning, even with us, having a little bounce off of the lows. The dollar right now, if you're looking at it for any particular reason, is in this falling type setup, very controlled. There is no panic selling over there or anything along those lines. And if you go back and you take a look at some of the commodities, you have crude up, you have natural gas up almost 3%. You have gold up, I guess, 1/3% in through here. So these are the things. This is kind of the setup. If you've been short this week and you didn't take profit towards the end of the day yesterday at the lows, you're going to be kind of looking at your situation now, going, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to cover out? Are you now trapped? Did you short overnight? Did you short in today? Might be a little bit trapped. They might want to keep you trapped. They might. Nothing has changed, though, Bender. Nothing has changed. Story is still the same. We had a nice pop, but if you're looking at a ticker like Apple on the 3-minute, looks like a head and shoulder in through here. And we're sitting right about that level where that big old dark pool came in yesterday, this 175, 10-ish, 11-ish, right in through there, that level. I know that a lot of people are looking, and it's interesting, if you go back, and this is going to be my only little chartation on the ES, several people are watching this area right where we are here within a couple of points. This was basically, if you open up your time frame a little bit and you look at a 15-minute, This would have been the top of the bear flag that was coming in on the 15-minute that exploded up and over. So this area and through here, the previous overnight highs before we came into the morning session, that 8 a.m. algo, that area there is probably going to act as pivot. You can call it right here, right now. You can call it a couple of nickels below, but that area, I think, for my eye, is going to act as pivot. Anyways, that's what I got, man. Today's Friday. I expect some really shady shit going on throughout the day. But the cool thing is when you get such a shift in flow, and right now flow is bearish. Can't say it like enough. Bearish, bear strong, bear whatever. It is that when it comes to flow. When it gets so tilted to one side, you can get a reflex reaction. You get some call buyers coming in, you get some of that coming in, and all of a sudden we're up 250, 300 points on the NQ going, hey, what just happened? Which would effectively make up about half of the losses for the week, which heavy week to the downside. With this being said, Bender, you want to run with the ball?
Yeah. The other good thing about that, I don't know, good thing, I guess, but when we do get, flow that's heavy one direction, it makes it simpler to get the read on kind of when they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. But it's like that. What's interesting to me is that 8 a.m. algo fire to the upside. That candle put some people, made them very fucking uncomfortable. That
I guess it depends on when they sold.
Right. It made them very uncomfortable.
Yeah, we'll see. Looking at a 60-minute here, basically trading up into this 60-minute fair value gap. Looking at the 15-minute, kind of what you referenced, that red line being the top of that 60-minute fair value gap. So we traded up into it, currently rejecting. You can see we left this below right here. So if we trade below this candle, 43.8175, then we got to start looking lower, 43.73 half being this candle, this swing low right here. So that would be a level to watch. And then below that, 43.66. Right in here. That's if this gives out right here. Then we could start to look for this stuff a little bit lower. Go back to, so I started with a 4-hour, but we hadn't really talked about that. Let's go to a 4-hour real quick, just because I was kind of looking, last night I was drawing this stuff up, looking at different areas that, where you can kind of see things come together that might be potential targets if it is going to continue. Looking at this move right here, we kind of double bottomed, just made a slightly lower low versus that previous swing low before, making that push up. So a pullback here in that 50 to 61.8% zone right here. Below that, the shaded box being a fair value gap, and then you can see I've labeled the weekly volume imbalance right here. So go to the weekly candles, kind of see where that comes in. Now I'm looking at the continuous contract. It may look different on the, using the current expiration, but this is where that volume imbalance sits. And go back to the daily here, and you can see this trend line So I was kind of putting this stuff together going, okay, well, if it pulls, if it is able to pull down into here, 43.56, you've got that daily volume imbalance right there, that weekly or the daily fair value gap, and then the weekly volume imbalance just below. This is a 1272 extension off of this down move. Got the down move, got the bounce. This comes in, I think, around that 618 level. And then you get the push lower with the 1272 extension, 43.25. And you can see where that trend line's at, just below that. Right? I don't know necessarily how it gets there, or even if it does come all the way down into there, but that would be an area of interest for me. Be kind of right in here. I had a few DMs asking me, what do you think happens tomorrow? What do you think happens? And I never know, right? You never know what's going to happen. But what I was hoping for would be that we would wake up and kind of already be in this area. And I'd be interested in that. And you can see why, right? All the stuff that comes together right in here. If it were to pull down into this, I would expect that could be a good bounce zone. As far as the clocks go, there's not a whole lot today. It's kind of quiet. We have potential sell pressure just after the open on the ES, 9:36 Eastern. And then NQ actually was supposed to be about 30 minutes ago. Potential buy pressure on the NQ comes in at 10:24 a.m. and then the ES at 11:55. And then there's nothing else really through the end of the day. So we'll see. Maybe they give us a pull kind of to start the day, right? Now that we got these green candles pre-market, maybe they give us a little pullback or make it look like they're going to continue the selling. And maybe that, if we get that early enough, that may be the trigger for that, Friday action.
I think for me, it's like I'm a little bit disappointed we're not sitting pretty red right now. And not because, I'm more because I want to get closer to the bottom so we can go ahead and spin the sucker around. When going through flipping some individual tickers, looking at Apple on the daily, I just don't know how we don't come down and tickle 170, 168.50, 167, somewhere in there. I just don't know how we don't do that. But like we were talking about yesterday, both on here and DMing back and forth, it's more of a question. It's not a question of, I don't say necessarily if, but how. It's like, how do we get there? Does Apple go back to let's say it's home at 177.50 before it spills back down to 170? That's, you want to mind fuck. There you go. Or is this playing with this big dark pool from yesterday at this 175 10-ish level? Is that okay? So we touched it. And again, you have to look at Apple for so many reasons. Just real quick, and then we can move on. I don't want to cut your time here, but it's like Apple is a major piece of the consumer. It's also the biggest component of the market. And if Apple price action isn't there, and if Apple isn't healthy, you can speak to the consumer and you can speak to the markets. And that's where it gets interesting when you look at that chart. It gets very, very interesting with the Apple. So it's like, you don't have an iPhone, right?
No, I don't have an anything.
But if you went and you polled your kids as far as their friends, they're all supporting Apple products for the most part.
Most of them, yes.
Most of them. which means that it's such a massive component of what this economy, and I put this in quotation marks, is. Apple is a big boy. Might
Yeah.
be more important than Amazon from the standpoint as far as a consumer. It's really, really interesting, as far as dividing have and have nots, when you look at it. So, anyways, I find it very difficult to believe that over the next month or so we're not going to play Apple 170, 168.50. Find it impossible to believe. So, just my thoughts. You got anything else? We sunny it?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing with this chart that kind of has my attention is looking at kind of this leg up right here, this bounce that came in, and then the deviations off of that, which you can see right here, 2 deviations, 2.5, 3, 4. 4 puts us right below those lows. I don't know that. Again, I don't know that if they're going to take us all the way down there. No idea. We'll kind of keep a read on flow, keep our eyes on it. Looking at it, it's like the possibilities exist, right? So I bring that up because it's like I'm not putting that out of the realm at this point of what could happen. What could happen in the next week? I don't know. This blue line right here is the 200 on the daily. So, if they were to pull down here under the 200, that would be kind of an area where this time of year under the 200, more often than not, it's going to, that's going to be what triggers. If it gets there, that oftentimes that's going to be what triggers, oh, we're under the 200. Okay, it's okay. Now we can buy. Big enough discount, right? Maybe they come in and buy sooner. I hope. But that's something to keep in mind. That's about it.
Man says that's about it.
That's it.
Sonny, what you got, bud?
I got lots of news today.
You keep on telling the same lie. Eventually,
It'll be the
you know
truth.
what?
Eventually, it'll be the truth. Right?
Really? All right, grip
it's
and rip,
like
man.
averaging down to 0. Eventually, you'll go.
Oh,
green.
okay. So we're still there.
Yeah.
I thought for a second there, I thought you were going to Stonkington me again with an empty FedEx box.
With the FedEx box, no.
It just still. I was scratching my head last night, going, "What's wrong with this boy? Why? If he's sitting here thinking something to play Price is Right with, why did he choose this? Other than it just being their ER, but why that?
He accomplished his goal. He just wanted to fuck with you. It's payback, for you picking on him all the time.
I don't. I'm a massive supporter of the Stonkington.
All right. Anyways, let me get started since you already took some of the thunder away about the China news.
China.
So they did, the statements. So the other part of that is Yellen saying China and U.S. have agreed to establish economic work groups for finance and other financial things. They said they're gonna work together with. She's been on the talking tour the last couple of days. We don't want to decouple from China. We just want to de-risk. Blah blah blah. So here's that statement, and that's when we started getting that pop in the market. So Amazon, this little headline came out. So they're going to introduce advertising and Prime Video starting 2024 across the board. So, if you have Prime now, you don't see ads. You're going to start seeing ads. If you want the ad-free version, you have to pay extra for it starting 2024.
What, Prime?
Yes. Prime Video. Yep.
That's crazy. They're taking everything back to linear, and it's like okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what what I've been typing in the DM is it's like this whole strike, the writer strike, and the actors, they are gonna have to start paying these royalties, and I think that's what they're prepping this for, keeping that money coming in. Now we use ads, or you pay higher fee to be ad free.
It's like, look, at the end of the day, the consumer always loses. Consumer
yeah.
never wins.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely.
so what?
Definitely.
So we can go back now, Sonny,
Yeah.
to just
Watching
wanting
cable TV.
cable TV, and the only thing you watch is like 4 channels, but somehow basket weaving is one of the things that you're paying for.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
don't have
it.
Prime, so I feel sorry for the people. Yeah. Anyways.
Mm,
So I had talked about Sentinel-1 a while ago, like they may be, target for acquisition. So Cisco put out a thing that they were going to buy Sentinel-1 till they did their due diligence and found out some shady um, numbers around recurring revenue that how they started recalculating it starting June. Um, so they passed on Sentinel-1 and buy Splunk. But they said, hey, once this dust settles down, once we have a better idea, we may buy it at a later date at half the price. Um, JP Morgan says the coming energy crisis may be worse than the one Europe experienced. So they upgraded a whole bunch of names, SHEL, TTE, uh, NESTE, things like that. I'll put that in the room. So they send it out to their clients. Oracle event ends today, and they've repeated their 2026 outlook. They also signed up this big $1.5 billion contract with a cloud provider. They're not giving out the name. They're saying it could be Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, because Oracle's prices were lower than their costs. So one of the big guys reaching out to Oracle to help them with AI training. We all know about the strike going on at Ford, GM, Stellantis. So UAW is set to announce work stoppage at 10 a.m. EST at additional locations. Qualcomm cut their workforce in China and Taiwan. They're expecting longer than expected industry downturn and slow recovery. AstraZeneca is trading higher today, this morning. They gave positive results for its drug trial for treating common type of breast cancer. So that's good news. It popped up a little bit. Upgrades, CHTR, Roku, W, Meta, EMC, First Solar. Their price target has been raised to 226. And I think First Solar was the only green target yesterday. Downgrades, BA, DE are the two major ones that I saw. Events, nothing significant today. Dark pool wise, Humana had a massive dark pool that came in after hours. That was, where the fuck did it go? Oh yeah, 494.06 target, 280,000 shares, which is about 32% of their 30-day average. Other big ones, Amazon 129.33, 2.6 million shares. Microsoft 319.53 million shares, and another dark pool in BA at 199.95. And the China names, they all got dark pools, made a nice move up, and that's it. Hello.
All right. And then it went quiet. Awesome. Thank you.
yeah, good job,
Stonkington. Well, yeah, nice work.
It's like way to be on top of it, idiot. But it's Stonk, so it's like he deserves blank air after yesterday.
What? I was waiting for my intro. I'm here. I'm ready.
You get no
Let's
intro.
go.
You get
What?
no intro anymore
Oh,
until you
today?
redeem your FedEx box.
All right, I'm ready. I got the redemption.
What do we have on the prices right today? It's gonna be like it's gonna look like a crumbled up batch of wrapping paper. It's gonna be like, oh, guess what's inside?
Grocery bag. All right. Let's just do charts today. How about that? We got smashings potentially to the upside. We closed below the prior day's low, that's for sure. So if we broke yesterday's high, Mr. Larry Williams would be getting long with a stop at this low, which I was like, oh, that seems to line up nicely with whatever that got going over there. And that's what it would look like they're on the cues. we'll get alerts that pop in the room if this gets going, this setup here. Jump over to the NASDAQ here. I did want to just do a quick, simple recap. This was a failed trade idea we took from yesterday. Just wanted to do a quick breakdown on it. I was trying to take this long, thinking this was an order block right here, Mr. T style. And so I was trying to buy right here. We stopped out, and then looking back, I was like, breaker block. So if this was some kind of order block, then these guys said that's a breaker. So we could have been looking for that to go short, and then just wanted to throw the Mr. Al Brooks with, I'm like, Al Brooks would have been smacking me upside the head. This is one of the few EMAs I use at all ever, is this 5-minute 20. And we could see once we lost that, Al Brooks would have been just like, dude, just follow that trend down, find your entry. You know, instead of Mr. T waiting for the perfect, it's got to be a pullback into a fair value gap, into an order block, into this. Al Brooks is like, you get in when you see a nice break. He mostly just trades off a 5-minute chart, and you trade off the breakout of a candle. So the break below this low could be a short. The break below this low could be a short. I mean, he's not waiting. He's jumping in when you see a trend get going. So just kind of a quick recap over there. All right, let's jump into the NASDAQ. Let's see. So, excuse me. This is a longer term order block that I posted in the room yesterday. We can see it's working. Another opportunity to kind of combine Al Brooks and Mr. T would be this wick here. So Al Brooks thing is like a double bottom on one time frame is going to be just one candle on another. So same thing kind of applies. I've talked about this before for order blocks. It's like, you look at that daily, there's the order block, and that's this guy right here. And you can see we came down into it. So if we push back down, I'd want to see that hold potentially, or then if we shoot past it again, maybe this becomes our breaker line, that 14861. So we'll see what we get there. Similarly, above, I'm going to be watching the reaction to this level, 15044, and then we can see this price action now is all balanced here on a 4-hour, but we have a gap here. We left a little volume imbalance. This pink box right there, that's going to be a volume imbalance on the daily, and then we've got a fair value gap up in there. So there's that little imbalance. So we'll see. The other thing, I've got these trend lines going here, posted kind of similar, something I saw in the ES. Maybe if we continue down, then we've got this potentially big fat flag that we're working on. And then if we jump over to the Russell, not so much. But let's see. So we have this. This is the continuous contract again on the Russell, because I wanted to find some more stuff below. It was getting ugly, and the December contract didn't have as much below. So we've got this weekly volume imbalance that we have now filled, and then we had this daily fair value gap that we have now closed below, which would make me think if we ran up back into this, could potentially work as resistance with room up through that 1835.40. For levels below, if we were thinking order blocks again, if this guy was an order block, we got this level here. That's going to be that 1788.10. And then if we lose that, I'd be watching. Maybe they need to come and stop out these guys that would have their break-even stops below there on the Russell. Hells mentioned Apple. So let's check that one out. Let's see. Yeah, so this is Apple Daily. And this is going to be the important level. We looked at this earlier in the week. Apple Weekly inside bar, with this being the bottom of it, and a massive dark pool. And then the one above is going to be this 174.93. They were hitting it at 175.11 yesterday. So I just lumped that all in, this level right here, basically right around that 175. So we're going to be playing Battle of the Dark Pools today on Apple. 173.57 below and 174.93 above. And that's all I got. I'll call some other levels during the day on AMD or something, but
Thank you,
that's
Stone.
it.
Thank you. All right. So there you go. I told myself all morning that I am not going to trade heavily today. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to let next week be what it is, and try to stay as neutral as I possibly can. It's like, that's me. I think there's going to be great opportunity, though. I think you just have to be patient. And you have to get it right. I think we're going to see some candles today that are a little bit ridiculous, both ways, based on some of the things that everybody talked about. You have people trapped. You have upside buyers that are like, get me the fuck out, because apparently we're going into a recession. Everybody's going to die. You have some trapped sellers down there from yesterday and overnight that could be sitting there going like, well, what the hell? Right now, I think that based on this little run up, there's some unhappy campers on both sides. So, Bender, let's do our best today, man. Let's try to be sharp.
See what we got. See what they give us. Hopefully they give us some opportunity.
7 minutes. We'll see you soon.
See you in a few.